This is number 71 in lesson 3-4 of your textbook on page 151, where you are asked to solve each of the equations, and we're given this equation. Now, when we're solving equations such as these here, and I notice I made a mistake, the first thing we want to do is we want to get the entire equation equal to 0. So move everything to either the left side of the equal sign or move everything to the right side of the equal sign. So for me to move the negative 2y to the right side of the equal sign, I'm going to need to add 2y to both sides. That'll leave me with 0 is equal to 4y squared plus 2y. Now I know I need to use this method of getting everything equal to 0 because I know it's going to involve factoring. So now I look at what is on the right side of my equal sign and I want to find a greatest common factor. What divides into both 4y squared and 2y? Well, 4 and 2 are both divisible by 2, so there's the greatest common factor of my coefficients. And y squared and y to the first are both divisible by y to the first. Remember we said in class that you can only pull out the variable's smallest exponent as long as every term has that variable. So if I take and divide each of these terms by 4y squared, then in parentheses I'm going to show what I have left. So I'm going to divide not by 4y squared, by 2y. I'm going to divide the 4y squared by 2y, and I'm going to divide the 2y by 2y. That's my greatest common factor here. So when we divide, we know to subtract exponents. So 4y squared divided by 2y is 2y. And 2y divided by the very same thing, 2y, is 1. So I factored the right side of the equal sign, and I still have 0 left on the left side of the equal sign. So now I want to notice that what I have is I have a quantity here, A, being multiplied by a quantity here, say I call it B. I know that the only way I can get a product of 0 when I multiply two things together is if either A is equal to 0 or if B is equal to 0. So for me to solve this equation, what I need to do is set each of those terms, A and B, I shouldn't call them terms, each of those parts, A and B, equal to 0. Well, A is 2y, I'm going to set it equal to 0 and solve for y. And B is 2y plus 1. I'm going to set it equal to 0 and solve for y. So to solve for y in the first equation here, it's being multiplied by 2, so I undo multiplying by 2 by dividing by 2. Well, when you divide 0 by anything, you get 0. So one solution is 0. To solve equation 2, I need to multiply, I notice that y is multiplied by 2 and 1 is added to it. So I've learned in previous algebra courses that I undo the addition first by subtracting, and I get 2y is equal to negative 1. And then to undo the multiplication by 2, I'm going to divide by 2 because dividing is the opposite of multiplying. When I do that, I get y is equal to negative 1 over 2. So my two solutions here are either y has to equal 0, because if it did, the product would be 0, or y has to equal negative 1/2. Again, because if it did equal negative 1/2, the product would be 0.